Femi Akonde, TVC News, Dar es Salaam, Tanzania.
Well, let's talk more on the electricity sector as we're bringing now the Managing Director of Coleman Wires and Cables, George Onafowokan. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
I hope I got that right. I was practicing in my head. Thank you.
You did well.
All right, so let's get into the electricity sector. It seems that the president is also now paying so much attention to it. I was saying earlier, just yesterday, we saw a statement coming from the Ministry of Finance as the coordinating minister of the economy, talking about government, looking the electricity sector being open for investment. But we've seen a number of grid collapse and power outages this season as well. What's your reaction to that?
And the unfortunate part of it is that, look, we're in this situation that I don't think, unfortunately, when you lack investment over years, electricity is not a solution that is an overnight solution. When you look at it, I feel sorry for the current government because they're inheriting what literally people did not look at or do the right things on over the last 2 decades. I said we started rightly when we came back into democracy by focusing on electricity and both the distribution, transmission of power, generation, transmission and distribution of power. But invariably, I think everybody just went to sleep after the first 8 years of the project, and then we're all refocusing on it. The reality is, if you put a gap in electricity investment, the end result is what you're going to have. Grid collapse, insufficient power supply, imbalance. And I think the major part of it is the imbalance between what is generated, what is transmitted, and what is distributed. A grid collapse literally happens not because you don't have enough generation or you don't have enough. It's in between the actual generation and the power being distributed. When they're being transmitted, at any fluctuation between those variations, if you fluctuate it too much, in order to rebalance, it will either collapse. And in order not to allow it to collapse, what they do is shut it down. So that's really what is happening. Sometimes the grid collapse is really a grid protection against total collapse. Now, and the unfortunate part is that until we get it right in between what we are generating and distributing, which literally is that transmission end that is creating the big problem. There's like a misalignment between what we have generated and distributed.
When you speak, it will sound as though nothing has been done in the last 24 years or so, but we've had billions of dollars being allocated to the power sector, and we've seen investment. One of them, was it during the Buhari administration? An MOU was signed with a German company.
Correct.
And they're still in the country at the moment.
Correct.
But we haven't seen so much, in that regard. So is it investment or just doing the right thing, like you said, paying attention?
Investment is one thing. Ideas of investment is one thing. The German $2 trillion agreement was a fantastic idea, and by the previous government. But unfortunately, implementation, the start off, unfortunately, when Kyari died, that whole process died 4 or 5 years, and it resurrected after 4 or 5 years of the man's death. And I think it's resurrected properly under this government. There's some kudos we have to give to whoever is doing whatever they're doing, realizing that the reality is government is a continuum. It is not about who started it, it's about how you end up getting it finished so that your people actually benefit from it. So, and I think that is where we're getting it right now, that we need to continue whatever, good or bad of it, look at the best part of it and move them on. Now they're moving it on. It's happening. The Siemens project has started. The key question we have to look at it from a manufacturing perspective and infrastructural perspective is, what amount of solution between the power generation, distribution, and transmission is localized? Now, when we don't have homegrown solutions to things, and someone comes from abroad and says, this project is going to cost us the next $5 billion, but nobody actually asks, which part of that $5 billion would it develop in homegrown capacity? Now, because the minute you start developing homegrown capacity, the minute you start solving your problem in the long run, because whoever knows how to solve the problem or actually implement it will know how to maintain it, and then know how to strategically grow it. So invariably, grid collapse issues will continue for a little bit more time while the current solutions being provided by the current team, including the ministers. I've met the minister, and sometimes I feel sorry for him. And very nice gentleman. But at the end of the day, everybody looks at him as if he's the man that literally has created the problem. But unfortunately, he's not. He's the man that has made the problem. But invariably, the size and scope of the problem is met really is even beyond 8 years of another government. Now, but the question is, what do we do now to start solving it, which is what he has to do.
And I want to get to that shortly, because this is a problem that is also affecting the economy, the business climate, and I want you to get into that. One of the major conversations right now is the increase in telecommunications tariff hike. And for businesses, we know that that's going to take a toll on them.
It is.
But these telcos are also saying, look, we are spending a lot on diesel. And so I'm wondering, how can businesses survive when you think of how much you're expending on petrol and diesel?
I think this is where government has to also be. You just spoke earlier about the coordinating minister and what the presidency is doing. Now, this is where you need the manufacturers and the industrialists to actually play a part in balancing what you're trying to do. And what I mean by that is that, look, tariffs are going to go up. Subsidy has gone. Well, even electricity tariff is still going to go.